Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. My name is Dan Powell. Joining me as a panelist on our webinar tonight is Liz Nix. She is one of my co-workers at Olympia Pharmacy, and she'll be on here tonight, keeping me in line and making sure that we get all the questions answered for you. We're here to talk about Olympia's weight loss kits. So our title of our webinar is Get the Skinny on Physician Supervised Weight Loss. Before we jump into the webinar, let me give you a little bit of background. First of all, I grew up in a small Pennsylvania town, Northeast Pennsylvania, in Hazleton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. And when I grew up, when I was a young boy, you know, when you're young like that, you have a lot of influence from your family, and you know, when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, it's really all you have is your family. And I grew up with grandparents who, I guess, showed their affection for their grandchildren by feeding them. So both my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side were both, as I look back now, they were both clinically obese by definition. My grandfather was actually a chef, and every time we would visit grandma, which was often because she lived close by, she fed us lots of food, and not any kind of good food. It wasn't like we ate broccoli and Brussels sprouts. We had cake and ice cream and Oreo cookies and lots of soda or pop, depending on where you're from. And that was just a way of life, and it was just something that I grew up under. And it's probably comes as no surprise that growing up in this environment, I was a pretty chubby kid, and really didn't bother me that much when I was younger because I didn't really understand or have a comparison. But as I got older, you know, and you know, kids at school could be kind of mean, and it became very apparent that I was a little chubby kid. And what I remember very vividly, one of the things that absolutely terrified me growing up is my mom used to take us shopping for clothes, and we would go to Sears, Kmart, another little place called Town and Country, and we would go there shopping for clothes. And in the jeans section, back then you were allowed to be, or you didn't really have any choice, but you could be offended. Nowadays everybody's offended about everything, but back then you had to toughen up, and if you were offended, it was too bad. So I remember shopping for jeans, and I remember my mom always saying, if you get any fatter, we're going to have to buy you the Husky jeans. So right there on the label on those jeans, it said Husky, which pretty much was an advertisement to the whole world that you were fat. And I remember mom would say, you're going to be in Husky jeans soon. And then one day went in to put on jeans, and guess what? I ended up in the Husky jeans. And it was a very embarrassing, belittling kind of moment for me. And I still remember that. And it was very depressing. And as I got older and made my way through junior high school into high school, I got introduced to sports. I played football, did some amateur boxing and things like that. And as I got into sports, you learned about physical fitness. And I also learned about going to the gym and working out. And so I've been working out almost for 40 years now, religiously. And I know you probably look at me and go, gosh, I didn't think you were a day over 25. But truth be told, I'm 53 years old. I just happen to work for a pharmacy that specializes in anti-aging medications. So as I got older and I learned about physical fitness, I really dug into it because I knew I didn't want to be fat anymore. I knew, you know, from seeing other guys playing sports and the way they worked out and what they looked like. I said, you know, that's what I want to look like. So, and then I started going to the gym, and I got involved in weightlifting. And along with the weightlifting, I used to buy the bodybuilding, you know, the muscle mags, and read about how many reps and sets you should do and what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. and all that kind of stuff, because back then we didn't have the internet and Google. You actually had to read magazines. So as I got into that, I learned about dieting. I learned about counting your calories. I learned about macros, protein, carbohydrates, fat. I learned about all that kind of stuff. And as I got through my middle to late teens, my body changed. And I got to the point where late teens, early 20s, I actually started competing in amateur bodybuilding contests and did very well. And here's the part that I really want to drive home. So don't miss this part. Is as I transformed from the little fat kid wearing husky jeans into weightlifting and bodybuilding, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, wow, what a difference. What are you doing? How did you do it? Where did you do it? When did you do it? Tell me everything that you know, because I want to be in the physical shape that you are in. So, and why is that important? Because as we move through this weight loss program, your biggest source of advertising, the most powerful source of advertising that you're going to have, are patients coming in and being successful in this program. So all the people around them look at them and go, how did you do it? And they're going to refer them right back to you. And that's the part I want to bring home as we move through this. I want you to understand that and you're gonna advertise. You're probably doing advertising already in your lobby, in your exam rooms, whether it's video or handouts, and that's great. And certainly those are absolutely essential for growing your business. But with weight loss, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful method of advertising is going to be the success of your patient base. So again, this slide is just a little bit of information for you. I'm the Director of Business Development and Product Development at Olympia Pharmacy. I'm very involved in the sales and marketing at Olympia and the new products that we offer. And as I mentioned, Liz Nix is also on this call. Some of you may have talked to Liz. She's very knowledgeable as well. And she's very well organized, which is why she's on here with me to make sure that I keep going in the direction we're supposed to go. So all that being said, most of you who are on this webinar are probably already Olympia Pharmacy customers. And because of that, you know about our quality, our stability, our turnaround time, our customer service. The one thing I want to make sure you do know as well is that we have both a 503A and a 503B facility. And for those of you who don't know the difference or don't quite understand the difference, I'm not going to go in. There's a whole, I could go on for hours just talking about that. But for the sake of this discussion, 503A, think of that as patient-specific pharmacy. So we do medications at our 503A facility that are specifically for patient prescriptions. And think of 503B as office use medications. So medications you're going to order and administer, and that's the key, and administer in your office. So those are things like B12 shots, nutritional IVs, and of course our weight loss kit, which we're about to get into, can be both, or should I say either, 503A patient prescriptions or 503B, you can have them in your office. So keep that in mind. That's a big point as well. And let's talk about HCG. A lot of you may be on this webinar because of HCG. It's not been an easy 14 or 15 months at Olympia, and not because we lost HCG or because HCG is going away. It's been very difficult to talk to our customers who have built a large part of their practice, or in some cases almost all of their practice, around the HCG diet. And a lot of panicked phone calls from our customers saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? My 50% of my business is weight loss, and now HCG is going away. So there's been some tough conversations we've had over the past year. So let me explain to you what happened with HCG. So last year, March 23rd of 2020, as a matter of, to be exact, the FDA reclassified HCG. Now the FDA has not liked HCG for a long time, for decades. And the reason is, and I hear, being that we're an FDA governed facility, but we have patients that use HCG, I see both sides of the equation. So let me give you the perspective of the FDA. I know the perspective of our customers. Hey, I've got patients that are using HCG, they're on the HCG diet, they're losing weight, we know it works, we've built our business around it, we don't want it to go away, what can we do? The FDA, on the other hand, says your patients are on a 400 calorie a day diet, and all the tests and all the research and all the, what's the word I'm looking for? All the research papers, all the control groups have not given enough information or enough positive information to say, yes, HCG works as a weight loss drug. That's the FDA stance. So the FDA says, as far as they're concerned, HCG does not work for weight loss. Now, from you, our customers, and from patients, we hear the opposite. Absolutely, it works. We have patients who are successful on it. I get it. We're an FDA facility, so we have to abide by the FDA rules. So let's dive a little bit deeper. So what the FDA did was they reclassified HCG as a biologic compound. What does that mean? That means you have to have a special license and a whole lot of research to show what the drug you're selling is for, and that and proof that it works. So there's a whole bunch of hoops and everything to jump through that makes getting that biologic license basically impossible for compounders. Not so much for manufacturers who have billions of dollars, but when you're talking about compounding pharmacies who have only millions of dollars, I guess you could say, or hundreds of thousands, it's just not feasible to do that. So another thing about our 503B facility, our 503B facility, all 503B facilities are directly regulated by the FDA. 503A facilities, and this is important, 503A facilities are not under the direct supervision of the FDA. They are under the direct supervision of their state boards of pharmacies. So what the FDA did is they reclassified HCG as a biologic. We have a list as a 503B. We have a list of here's all the drugs you guys can make. And they took HCG off of that list. So being that it's not on the list as a 503B, we can't make it. They reclassified it as a biologic, as a 503B, we can't make it. We were for some time, and other 503A facilities out there may still be making HCG at this time, but what the FDA has done very cleverly, if they have reached out, and this is in the last 30 days, they have reached out to the NABP. NABP is the National Association of the Board of Pharmacies. So those are the regulatory bodies that inspect the 503As. And they went out to all the states and the NABP, and they said, hey, we want you to start enforcing the no HCG law. So we want you to enforce that regulation. So now all of these states, when they go in to do their annual inspections of the pharmacies, of their 503A pharmacies, they're going to go in there and say, you can't make HCG any longer. So I would say before the end of this year, or maybe into the beginning part of next year, depending on when some of those inspections happen, you will not be able to get HCG, period, unless it's through a manufacturer. And a manufacturer like Pregnol or somebody like that, and as you guys all know, it's really expensive. It's very hard to get. So from my perspective, as being in this industry for over 10 years, HCG is going away. There's no, well, it might, I hope it doesn't, please don't let it, it's going away. As far as what the time frame is, I would say 1 year or less from today, you will not be able to find HCG from a compounding pharmacy. So what do we do now? That's the question. Well, Olympia has designed a weight management kit, and we're going to jump into how it works, what's in it, how it works, why it works, who is it good for, how do you implement it. We're going to jump into that. First, I'm going to show you a little video, just kind of hits the highlights of the weight loss kit. It's about a 55-second video. So if you've already seen the video, it's available on our online portal. So if you've already seen this, It's 55 seconds. Gives you a chance to maybe use the restroom or grab a cup of coffee. But you have 55 seconds, so start the timer now. All right, welcome back. So that was the high points about our weight loss kit. This is a picture of the weight loss kit, what it looks like when you get it at your office, or if it gets sent to a patient. This is the basic weight loss kit. So as you can see on the kit, let me see if I can do this without breaking anything. Let's go to annotate. And so right here, you can see it is a 30-day kit. So each kit you buy is good for 30 days. What's in the kit? Low dose naltrexone, done as an oral tablet. Sermorelin acetate injectable. It's a sub-Q injection. So just like HCG was, it's a sub-Q injection that you do nightly. And then Lipotrim sublingual vitamin spray, which is right here. That is a combination of B vitamins and amino acids. And then we also, with the kit, you get the syringes, the number of syringes you need, as well as the bacteriostatic water to reconstitute the sermorelin. The only thing, so the kit from month 1 to month 2 to month 3 and beyond, it's all the same ingredients, all the same medications. The only thing that changes is the dose of naltrexone. So I don't know if you could, this is kind of small, but we'll go over this. So right here in month 1 of the kit, and you can find this on your portal, it'll say month 1 of the kit, and it'll show you all the ingredients and their concentrations. So month 1, the naltrexone is 1.5 milligram tablets. Month 2, we raised the naltrexone to 3 milligrams, and month 3 and beyond, we raised the naltrexone to 4.5 milligram tablets. Why do we start off low and increase slowly? Because there can be some side effects with naltrexone. The only one that we have seen, and very rarely, is very vivid dreams, very vivid dreams, nightmares. So when you start off at a low dose and work your way up to the 4.5, those side effects are mitigated and shouldn't cause anybody any problems at all. But that's why we ramp it up. So hopefully that answers, because we get asked that question. So that's why we want to answer that one for you right now. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. And what are the differences from HCG? Well, there's several differences. And I'm going to give you my honest opinion on the weight loss kit versus HCG. So with HCG, the way it worked mechanically is you were put on a very low calorie diet, 400 to 800 calories per day. What happens when you're under, and this is just talking in generalities. So those of you who are physicians and experts at this, don't kill me. These are general numbers. So under 1,000 calories a day, your body will normally go into what we call starvation mode. And what starvation mode does is your body goes, hey, I'm not getting enough calories to maintain my body mass. So I'm going to go into the starvation mode, which means when I eat something, I'm going to take it and convert it and store it as my long-term energy source. And what's the body's long-term energy source? It's fat. So when you go on a low-calorie diet and your body switches over to that starvation mode, or kind of like a hibernation, if you will, when your body switches over to that, it starts taking the food you eat and storing it as fat. Doesn't seem like a very good way to lose weight, right? So what the HCG was to do, the HCG works on the hypothalamus and kind of says to the hypothalamus, hey, don't worry, you're getting plenty of calories. Don't go into starvation mode. Keep burning fat as you normally would. So that's the premise of HCG and how it works. Very low calorie diet forces the body to starvation mode, but the HCG fools the body by working on the hypothalamus, basically saying, hey, hypothalamus, tell the rest of the body everything's okay. Kind of like, I call it the Chernobyl effect. You know, when Russia had the Chernobyl meltdown and Sweden was sitting there and the Geiger counters were going off and Chernobyl's going, nope, everything's good. You keep doing what you're doing. We're all good here. So that's what the hypothalamus does. It kind of acts like the like Chernobyl. It says everything's good. Don't worry about it. Keep burning fat. That's different than the weight loss kit. The weight loss kit, you're on a sensible number of calories. And what do I mean by sensible? I'll define that in great detail in just a few minutes. But when you're on a sensible number of calories and you're not starving the body, you can go on a steady, healthy, sustainable weight loss. And that's what we're looking for. And that's why I believe this kit will give better results. It can be more long-term and it's safer for people to take because it doesn't, and you're going to keep those results because the HCG, you have to cycle off of it. And then, you know, those people who kind of starve themselves and use HCG for 23 or 46 days, you know, unless you work on the whole person, they're going to go back to overeating and they're going to gain that weight back. And it's going to be like a yo-yo effect. And that's what happened a lot with HCG. With the weight loss kit, you can stay on the weight loss kit indefinitely and have a steady, safe, sustainable weight loss. No starvation level calories. You don't have to cycle off of it. And there's benefits of the kit beyond just weight loss. GH release, so growth hormone release. Both the naltrexone and the Sermorelin help stimulate the body's pituitary to release more of its own growth hormone. And there's a lot of benefits to that. Better sleep, retaining muscle mass, fat burning. Your body enhances fat burning when your growth hormone levels are higher. I've had reports that the thyroid, if a person has thyroid level fluctuations, that this helps normalize the thyroid levels. And I, like I said, I believe, and again, I've been in this industry for about 10 years now. I truly believe, and based on my experience and the feedback we've gotten, that this is a healthier alternative to the HCG diet. And this is a document that you can pull up in your online portal. So if you're not an Olympia customer yet, when you sign up, you get access to our online ordering system. Our online ordering system also has a bunch of marketing and information pieces in it that you can look at, you can download, you can request your logo to be put on these, any marketing piece that you find in our portal. You can have your logo put on here and it'll be a co-branded piece with Olympia. So there's a lot of cool stuff in our portal, just, you know, outside the normal ordering piece of it. So this gives you a little bit more detail on the weight loss therapy program. So naltrexone 30-day supply, nightly oral LDN, which is low dose naltrexone, helps reduce feelings of hunger and curbs appetite. That's one of the things naltrexone does. Enhances fat burning and weight loss, and develops mental clarity. These two are because naltrexone can also help stimulate the pituitary to release more of your body's natural growth hormone. Sermorelin, there's a 30-day supply of Sermorelin. And just a quick note on the Sermorelin. The Sermorelin in this kit is a 9 milligram vial. You do 300 micrograms per evening. So that's a 30-day supply on the Sermorelin as well. And the Sermorelin, again, that affects the pituitary as well, helps raise the levels of growth hormone. And again, that has a number of benefits. The thing that you're going to notice more quickly than anything else is the mental clarity and the better sleep. I know when I've taken Sermorelin and my growth hormone levels have gone up, I sleep like a rock. I fall asleep very quickly and I I sleep at least 5 or 6 hours without having to get up. And since I'm over 50, I do have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So what the Sermorelin does is helps you sleep better, better recovery from working out, again, because of the enhanced growth hormone. And right here, it says helps restore the body's natural sleep cycle. Now we're down to the Lipotrim, and Sermorelin is a sub-Q injection. Now, let me just make a comment here. We released this kit, when did we release this? September of last year, right after Labor Day it was. We released the kit initially, and one of the things that we learned quickly are, hey, Dan at Olympia, we want to use this kit, but our patients are afraid of needles. They don't want to do any needles. Is there an oral Sermorelin that we can use in place of the injectable Sermorelin? The answer to that is yes, there is. However, you have to call your rep at Olympia and ask them to turn that kit on for you. It doesn't show up in your portal by default, but it is there. We just have to turn it on for you. And it replaces the Sermorelin injectable with oral Sermorelin dissolvable tablets, so sublingual tablets for under the tongue. So that is available. The Lipotrim sublingual spray, that is a spray. It's 3 sprays under the tongue. Hold it for 20 seconds, swallow. 3 more sprays under the tongue. Hold it for 20 seconds to swallow. Combination of B vitamins and amino acids. Those B vitamins help. They do several things. Increase metabolism and improve energy levels. So all the B vitamins that are in there, and in general, the B vitamins in the body help convert fat to energy. So you can see how that caveat helps you lose weight and lose fat. And the B vitamins can also assist in reducing food cravings. And another benefit of B vitamins is they can aid in immune support. So those are the benefits of the kit. Over here, it goes on to tell you what's actually in the kit. We've already gone over that. As I mentioned, here's the monthly dosage of the kit. Let's go here. Right here, these are the monthly dosages of the Naltrexone. That's the only thing that changes month to month. So 1.5, 3, and 4.5 milligrams. When do they take it? So the oral Naltrexone and the Sermorelin sub-Q should be done at night. The B vitamins done in the the Lipotrim spray, which is the B vitamin spray, done in the morning after breakfast. We're going to talk more about this area a little bit later, but these are some of the most important things that go along with the kit. Supplemental medications. So what do I mean by supplemental medications? Those are weekly injectables that you would have the patient come into the office to get. Again, that's why it's important to work with somebody like Olympia, who's a 503B, so you can have these office use medications as well as patient specific prescriptions. So you can go into Olympia's portal, order this kit for a patient, and have it shipped right directly to them, and then the patient can, and that'll go from our 503A pharmacy, and then your patient can come into the office once a week and get their MIC injection or their Lipomino injection, or there's a couple other injections we'll talk about. They come in once a week and get those injections. So you might think, well, Dan, why do I have to have the patient come in once a week to get these injections? Doesn't the kit do the weight loss by itself? The answer to that is yes, but we're using these injections, and the injections help. They help accelerate the fat loss. But what we're really using these injections for is accountability in the patient. So we want that patient to come in once a week. We want to see them. We want to talk to them. We want to find out what they're eating. We want to find out what they're doing. So we want to hold them accountable in their weight loss journey. And that's very important. And that's, so there's 2 sides of this supplemental medication equation. One is for the benefits, the physical benefits of the medication. The other is for the accountability for the patient. Side effects and contraindications. I'm just going to run through these real quick. This webinar is being recorded, so we'll make a recording of this available sometime next week after the holiday. We can also make the PowerPoint presentation available to you as well. and you'll be able to read these side effects and contraindications a little bit more in depth, but we'll just go through them quickly right now. Low dose naltrexone. Naltrexone is primarily used for opiate and alcohol addiction in much greater doses, however. So what they found out in their research on opiate and alcohol addiction, it was found to have a side effect. Again, a lot of medications are made for one reason and end up being used for something else. Viagra is one of those medications. It was supposed to be originally developed as a blood pressure medication. Then they found out it enhanced erections, and that overtook the blood pressure side of it. So what does that tell you? That tells you erections are more important than blood pressure, I guess. But as we know, it's the little blue pill. So a lot of these things that are developed have dual or sometimes more than dual uses. So naltrexone, they found, also reduced insulin levels by 40% and does so by modulating cellular resistance to insulin. Those patients with damaged metabolisms tend to benefit from low-dose naltrexone effect on weight. And on naltrexone therapy alone, studies reflected a loss of basically 4 to 7.5 pounds after 2 months of therapy. And that's changing nothing else. So other contraindications, normal, fit, or underweight patients. Obviously, a person that's in shape and thin is not going to come into your office and say, hey, I want to lose weight. Non-binge eaters, we're going to talk about binge eating, depression, acute, people who have suicidal thoughts, depression, those kind of things, not a good candidate for naltrexone. Some other side effects, and I put in red here, the good side effects, or what we want to use, or what we want to lean on these side effects for our weight loss program, may increase growth hormone, impacts thyroid function, which can be a positive as well. Less common side effects, those are here. You can look at those over as well if you ask for the webinar slides. Next is Sermorelin injections. Sermorelin is an alternative to standard HGH therapy, is one of the safest forms of HGH therapy. Again, it stimulates the pituitary for your body to produce more of its own growth hormone. People who are pregnant and breastfeeding should not use Sermorelin. People who have an underactive thyroid, that can interfere with the effects of Sermorelin, and any allergies to this drug and drugs in this group. So anything, if you're allergic to anything that affects the pituitary, this is not for you. Some of the side effects, injection site reactions. Of course, if you don't inject properly or have good aseptic technique with your injections, you could have a redness or soreness around the injection site. Flushing, hyperactivity, dizziness, sleepiness, nausea, change in taste perception, temporary redness of the face or neck. We don't really see any of these in the patients that we work with because the dose is 300 micrograms a night. These are normally, if you go 500-600 micrograms a night, which are not needed in the weight loss program to stimulate the pituitary. Last but not least, Lipotrim sublingual spray. Possible benefits: fat loss accelerator. The B vitamins optimize fat metabolism. Again, when you hear B vitamins, think converting fat to energy. Improve results of lipo injection. So the weekly injections we talked about, this will work in conjunction with those. Optimizes the metabolic function, promotes healthy body weight, preserves lean muscle mass, supports healthy blood sugar levels. So all the B vitamin things that are good for the body, this spray does. Key ingredients: methylcobalamin, that gives energy. It's the most bioavailable form of B12. Carnitine, lipotropics, which is methionine and acetylcholine, mobilizes fat from the liver, increases metabolism. So all the things that the B12 spray does, all very good for the body and aids in this weight loss journey. So the next question is the million-dollar question, I guess you could say, is does it work? And for those of you who have already tried it, you know the answer to that. One of our biggest customers in Pennsylvania a place called Advanced Integrative Medical 360. Alexandra is one of the NPs there and coordinates the weight loss program. And she wrote to us and said, the combination of items in the weight loss kit have been incredibly beneficial to the patients in our practice. We have witnessed a large success rate utilizing the kit with our patients on a weight loss journey. The kit is well tolerated, and above all, our patients are extremely pleased with the results they are seeing. Now, I love what Alexandra wrote here because there's some key words in her statement that I want to pull out and talk about for a minute. First of all, weight loss journey. So anybody who's running a weight loss program at your clinic, people who are losing weight, especially people who are clinically obese, this is a journey for them. It really is it's an all-encompassing journey. It's very important to them. It affects them emotionally. It affects their self-esteem. So it really is a journey. So if with any diet, whether it's the HCG diet or the Olympia weight loss diet or any kind of diet, if you're just handing your patient an instruction book and a box of medications to say, well, here you go, that is not going to be the recipe for your success. You want to talk to your patients. You want to learn about their history. You want to learn about their habits. What do they do? When did they eat? How do they eat? What kind of foods do they eat? Do they work out at all? Is it weightlifting or is it cardio? What kind of things set them off to go on a binge eating? Is it, do they have a bad day? They have a bad day at work. Do they have anxiety? There's a lot of things that you should learn about your patient, aside from giving them the medication, to kind of help them combat the overeating part of this whole thing. And that's a very, very powerful thing. And there's a great book out there called Atomic Habits. And so Atomic Habits, the author, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but it's a fantastic book for a lot of different things, for people who are trying to lose weight, for people who are trying to do anything competitive, for people in their professional career. So I would give you, I would give you this piece of advice: go out and buy Atomic Habits, read about it. And the author talks about making little changes and little habit triggers, triggers to implement a good habit, triggers to break a bad habit. So there's a lot of gold nuggets in that book that you can, if you take that book and you learn it and you implement its teachings and you implement that with your patients, you're going to see a lot of success. So again, weight loss journey, I think is phenomenal wording for this statement. And here's, we touched on this at the beginning. Our patients are extremely pleased with the results they are seeing. What does that mean for your weight loss program? That means free advertising, because if they're going out and they're losing weight and people around them are seeing that, and 42% of our population, so 42% of the people in the United States are clinically obese. There's 380 million people in the United States. So 42% of that's a big patient base. That's a big customer base. So if you think, wow, there's a lot of weight loss competition where we live, there are, but there's a lot of people who need or want to lose weight. So when you help somebody lose weight and they go out and other people see them, they're going to say, hey, how did you do that? And that's your most powerful and least expensive form of advertising is word of mouth and testimonials from your patients. And let me look here at my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. Great. So far, I've covered everything I wanted to. Fantastic. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So where do we start with the weight loss kit? How do we implement it? We talked about how it's different than the HCG diet. how do we roll this thing out at our practice? Well, you can see here, this is a weight loss kit. It's medications. It's not a magic potion. So it's not a magic box or a magic potion, but where do we start? So the first thing is, as we mentioned earlier, the HCG diet was a very low calorie, 400 to 800 calories a day. And just to put that into perspective, every morning when I get to work, I order Starbucks, triple grande, cafe mocha. That has 400 calories. So if I was on the HCG diet, that would be all I could have for the entire day. And I wouldn't be doing this webinar now because I probably would have died. So again, that's not a sustainable amount of calories to do. So that's one of the big benefits I feel comes along with this kit. So how do we start? Where do we start our patients? Like, how many calories should they take in? And I'm going to take you to a website now. So I'm going to click on this. And it's going to jump me over to this website, and you can get this website from us as well. So this is just a BMR. So this is Basal Metabolic Rate Calculator that you can find on the internet. I'm going to put my own information in here and kind of explain how this works. So I'm 53 years old, 5'10", 210 pounds. My basal metabolic rate is 1,804 calories a day. What does that mean? That means if I sit in a chair and stare at the wall, my body is going to burn 1,800 calories a day just to maintain my current weight. Now, you see this box down here. This is what I like to call modifiers. So if you're sedentary, little or no exercise, you can add 300 calories to that. That means, you're getting up, you're walking to the bathroom and maybe the refrigerator, hopefully not the refrigerator, you're going to work. So with that little or no exercise, you still get to add 300 calories. Exercise 1 to 3 times a week, 4 to 5, daily exercise. I would fall probably into this category right here, daily exercise or intense exercise 3 to 4 times per week. And that puts me up at roughly 2,800 calories per day. And judging by when I count calories and what I do, that's extremely accurate for me. So if my daily calorie spend is 2,800 calories and I want to lose weight, I would subtract anywhere from 500, which would give me a weight loss of about 1 to 2 pounds a week. So 500 calories a day. So put me at about 2,300 calories a day. Or if I really wanted to lose weight more quickly, I would take 1,000 calories off of that number. So that would put me down around 1,800 calories. And that, with that number of calories, me personally, I'm going to lose probably 3 to 5 pounds per week pretty easily. So this is where you get your patient's initial starting point. And then when their weekly weigh-ins, holding them accountable, watch what happens with their weight, and you can adjust these calories up and down. I would adjust calories up and down by no more than 200 calories either way per day, just and kind of feel that out and see what happens with their body weight. So this is a great place to start. There's other calculators out there. You're welcome to use those. This is one that I found was very easy to use and seems to give some accurate information. So that's why I chose this one. And that is actually right here. If you want to write that down, https://www.calculator.net/BMR-calculator-HTML. So you can also grab that from us by calling in or asking for the slides. So now that we've got the BMR, we kind of know where to start the patient. What else? What are the next steps on implementing this? Weight loss. We're gonna talk about what I mentioned earlier, the weekly injections. So weight loss and the vitamin injections, and those add up to accountability. And that's really, again, that's what you're going to use those weekly vitamin injections for, is to really get the patient in there and find out what they've been doing. So let the slide come up. Vitamin injections, weekly weigh-ins, motivation. So you're gonna offer the vitamin injections, and which ones do we offer? We'll talk about that in just a minute. There's some very good ones that we have that I'll make recommendations and tell you my own experience, or my experience through talking with other people on which ones worked for them and how they worked. Weekly weigh-ins. This is very important. Weekly weigh-ins are great because it holds them accountable. They can't go home with the weight loss kit and eat 7,000 calories a day and come in and weigh 5 pounds heavier and say, oh no, I've been doing everything correctly. So hopefully if they're serious about losing weight and if you can motivate them, they're going to follow the program. One of the things that I'll mention is, now that we're in the day of smartphones and internet and apps, there are a ton of really good calorie counting apps out there. One that I've used before is called Lose It, and that's available on an iPhone, probably an Android as well. But I only use iPhones. And what it does is it lets you go through and you pick your meal. So you pick breakfast and you say, okay, well, I had egg whites and an English muffin and a slice of cheese and a cup of coffee. And you punch that in and it tells you how many calories you had. And then you go on to your lunch and your dinner and you punch all that in. And if you're like me, I tend to eat the same thing every day. And I'm just boring like that. So it's normally normally my English muffin and egg whites for breakfast, and then I have chicken breast for lunch, and possibly some rice and some vegetables. The only vegetable I eat is broccoli because I don't really like vegetables, but I can handle broccoli in small amounts. And then later in the day, I might have some kind of snack, whether it's a smoothie or a protein shake or something like that. So I tend to eat the same thing every day. So when you use these applications on your phone, you can save those meals. And then the next day you just say, okay, yeah, breakfast, same thing, lunch, same thing. So you can kind of build that so you very quickly get a good snapshot of how many calories you're eating a day, how many grams of fat, carbohydrates, and protein. And, protein and carbohydrates are basically 4 calories per gram. So if you take in 40 grams of protein in a meal, that's 40 times 4, that's 160 calories. If you take in 40 grams of fat, fat is 9 calories per gram. So now you're taking in 360 calories. So you can see why fat is bad in a number of different ways. So counting your macros is very, very important. And then motivation, you want to celebrate with your patients when they have success. You want to celebrate with them. You want to tell them good job. You want to give them a high five. You want to take pictures. You want to make a big deal out of it because you want to keep them motivated. And it's a positive reinforcement when you guys are celebrating that weight loss to motivate them to keep on that weight loss, journey. Let's see. Before and after pictures are great. Pictures each week when they come in are also fantastic. Let's see. We talked about the calorie counting apps. Okay. We're going to move on to the next slide. So this is going back to the injectables, the weekly injectables that are kind of your hook to get the patient to come into the office. So I'll start at the bottom and work up. Lipo Plus and Lipo Plus with B12. The Lipo Plus is a combination of B12s. I'm sorry, is a combination of B vitamins. It's the Lipo Plus is B vitamins, but not B12. It also has carnitine in it. And then we have Lipo Plus with B12. And the reason we made this particular blend is, which takes me up to the next one, Lipomino Mix. So Lipomino Mix is by far #1, hands down, our #1 selling product at Olympia Pharmacy. It's a great fat burning and energy injectable. It's phenomenal. So phenomenal. I went to the next slide, but it's a phenomenal fat burning injection. So why did we come up with Lipo Plus? Well, the reason is we used to make Lipomino with hydroxycobalamin, and the hydroxycobalamin loses its potency and stability over time. So it was very hard to keep the Lipomino mix stable for long periods of time. So we had to replace, but cyanocobalamin, on the other hand, is a very stable form of B12, and that's what we put in the Lipomino mix. So now Lipomino mix, the form of B12 in Lipomino is cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin is also a great B12. However, there are some people out there in the world, there's a couple of disease, I call them disease states. They're not really disease states, but they're there are things that go on within a person's body where their body can't break down the cyanocobalamin. And in some cases, if they keep taking cyanocobalamin and their body can't break it down, it can reach toxic levels. So those people can't do the Lipomino mix. So what we did was we created a product called Lipo Plus, which is everything that's in Lipomino mix except for the cyanocobalamin. And then we partnered the Lipo Plus, a 30 ml vial of Lipo Plus with a 10 ml vial of methylcobalamin in the same box. And then you on the administration side can use the Lipo Plus and then add as much methylcobalamin B12 as you want to that patient's injections. Now, the methylcobalamin is the most bioavailable form of B12, so this is a very high quality fat burning and energy injection as well. So depending on if you want to do 2 injections or 1, depending on if your patient has those disease states that prevent them from breaking down cyanocobalamin, that'll be your deciding factor on which one of these to use. Lipostat Plus, that's mostly B vitamins. There's no amino acids in there. There's no B12 in there. MIC is methionine, inositol, choline, and cyanocobalamin. There's cyanocobalamin again. That's also a fat burning formula. And I put glutathione on here as well. Glutathione is not a fat burning injection. However, what it does do is that it's the mother of all antioxidants. And if you're on a low calorie diet or you're losing weight, sometimes your immune system will drop a little bit, and the glutathione will help stimulate your immune system and keep your immune system up to par, so to speak, and can help you. It can prevent you from being sick. A couple other things I learned about glutathione: it also helps the liver break down toxins such as alcohol. So if you go out on a 4th of July drinking binge and you have glutathione at the house and you want to get up Monday morning and do a 2 cc injection of glutathione, that will definitely help. Also drink a lot of water. Another thing I noticed about glutathione is, and this is aside from the weight loss program at all. Let me go back here. There we go. Aside from the weight loss program at all, glutathione helps with your skin as well. So living in Florida and working out like I do, I sweat, and sometimes my back and my shoulders will break out a little bit. I found that if I take glutathione 1 to 2 mLs for 10 to 15 days in a row, my skin clears completely, just clears right up. So for those of you, if you battle with those kind of skin issues, glutathione can help with that as well. At least that's been my experience. And it makes sense because glutathione is an antioxidant, helps get the toxins out of your body. So those are some great ideas for injections. These are very profitable. So for example, the Lipomino mix, I think retails, or your physician price would be like $70 for a vial. You're going to get 30 injections out of that. You're going to charge 25. I would say an average would be $25 per injection. So 30 times 25 is $750. And you paid 70 for it, so you're making a profit margin of over $600 on that vial of Lipomino. So these injections are very profitable, but remember, these build the accountability to have your patients come back in the office. That's the #1 reason. They also help with fat burning. That's kind of #2 from my perspective. That's #2. I'm going to talk about something outside the weight loss kit, outside of Olympia Pharmacy, something that through my experience in working out and different things, and you've probably heard about it. It's called intermittent fasting, or IF for short. Very, very intriguing, system is intermittent fasting. So basically, intermittent fasting is where you allow yourself a window during the day to eat. Now I do a 16-8 intermittent fasting, which means my eating is done in an 8-hour window, and then I don't eat for 16 hours. So if I get up at 6 a.m., I have breakfast at 6:30, I'm off to the gym and then off to the office. I have my after workout protein shake, I have my lunch, but by 2:30, 3 o'clock, I'm done eating for the day. Is it difficult to come home and not eat for the rest of the night? Especially, now here's where the anxiety eating comes in, especially if you have a long day at the office and you want to come home and eat. Absolutely, it's difficult at first, but again, if you get into that habit of that's my eating window, those 8 hours, then you're eating for 8, fasting for 16, and a lot of great things happen in the body when you fast. And here I put some of those things on this checklist. So blood levels of insulin drop significantly, which facilitates fat burning. The blood levels of human growth hormone, here's that HGH again, can increase dramatically. Higher levels of this hormone facilitate fat burning and muscle gain and numerous other benefits. We talked about that earlier, but intermittent fasting can help promote higher levels of HGH. The body induces important cellular repair processes, such as removing waste material. Your insulin levels drop. Studies show that intermittent fasting can reduce oxidative damage and inflammation in the body. Another big thing, inflammation is horrible for your body. It leads to all kinds of disease states, heart disease, diabetes, things like that. Intermittent fasting works on both sides of the calorie equation. Now, this is important. Don't miss this part, because this is super important. And this is something that I've learned recently, and I've been kind of reading a lot about it. But intermittent fasting works on both sides of the calorie equation. It boosts your metabolic rate. Okay, so it boosts the burning of calories, and it reduces the amount of food you eat. So if you're eating in an 8-hour window, you're not picking up those extra calories in the other 16 hours while you're fasting. It boosts metabolic rate. But Dan, you told us earlier in the presentation, if you starve yourself, your body can go into starvation mode and you'll start storing fat. And that's exactly true. But listen to how this works. And I have a website that I wanted to show you, but I'm just going to talk through it. So when you fast, now here's the difference. There's a difference between fasting and restricting your calories. So if you restrict your calories to under 1,000 a day, and you do that for a period of time, your body will go into starvation mode and start storing fat. However, you can eat more calories in your 8-hour window and fast for those 16, and your body will actually, as long as you're not eating like 10,000 calories in those 8 hours, if you're eating the calories that we talked about earlier by using the BMR calculator, you can eat a sensible amount of calories in that 8-hour window. And when you fast for 16 hours, your metabolic rate actually increases. So don't confuse fasting with restricting your calories on a daily basis. Big difference there. And in the intermittent fasting, and before intermittent fasting was a thing, I noticed years ago when I was gaining weight, or when I wanted to lose some weight, I realized if I just, after work, if I just came home and I didn't eat a bunch of food before I went to bed, if I just cut that out by itself, I would lose weight easily without really changing anything else. So all I had to do was stop the anxiety eating when I got home from work. And that helped me lose weight. So that was kind of a form, before intermittent fasting was a thing, that was kind of a form of intermittent fasting that I learned a long time ago. But now there's a lot of information out about it. I use the 16-8. Some people do a 14-10. Some people do a 23-1, which means they eat once a day for an hour and then they fast for 23. That doesn't sound feasible to me, but some people do it and have great success with it. I'm on a Facebook users group called X3. It's a big group about people who do the resistant band workouts, and they talk about fasting all the time. So if you want to join that group, it's X3 users group, and I have no affiliation to the group. I don't get any money for you signing up. Olympia doesn't get any money. So it's nothing like that. I just find it very interesting and people post pictures of their workouts and what they're eating and their before and after pictures. And it's really pretty amazing to see the results that people are getting using fasting and these resistant bands, of course, as well. But the fasting, a lot of people in that group are really dialed into the fasting, and it's working phenomenally for them. So this is something, again, you don't have to use this in your weight loss program, but do I think it would help? I do. But again, you don't have to use it. You can just use the Olympia Weight Loss Kit and follow the calorie numbers by using the BMR calculator, what we talked about earlier, and I know that your patients will lose weight. This is something that I think would add to that. So let's recap. Generate interest, marketing items in the waiting room, exam room. So everything that in the Olympia portal that you can go in the marketing section on the Olympia portal, anything in there with the weight loss kit or B vitamins or Lipomino, anything you find in there can be co-branded. And you can do that through our portal. In that marketing section, there's a way to upload your logo, and you can get those printouts, put them in your waiting room, your exam room, and you can use that to advertise to your patients. I'm working on a way to actually get you guys the video, that 55-second video, that if you have the TV screens in your room that play on a loop while people are waiting, I'm going to see if I can get that adjusted so it doesn't put our phone number at the end. It can put your phone number, but I have to work on that. Don't hold me to that, but I'm looking at that as an option. Define the patient weight loss goals. How much weight do you want to lose? Why do you want to lose weight? Assess their activity level, determine their BMR, subtract 500 to 1,000 calories from the BMR to calculate daily caloric intake. Stay above 1,000 calories for women, 1,200 for men. These are generalities. Everybody's different, but these are generalities. 1,000 calories for women, 1,200 for men. Tweak by 200 calories in either direction to control your weight loss. Keep a food journal. Phone apps, again, like I said, are phenomenal for doing that. Intermittent fasting, is it for you? Like I said, I used a 16-8. You get all the benefits from the previous slide. And of course, implement Olympia's weight loss kit, which is the Naltrexone, the Sermorelin, the sublingual spray, the B vitamin spray. Track the results. This is something that I use at Olympia all the time. I've used this in our customer service department. I use it in my sales department. What gets measured gets improved. Somebody famous came up with that quote. I'm not trying to steal it. I didn't come up with it, but it's out there and it's true. What gets measured gets improved. It's very important. If you don't know where you are or what you're doing, you don't know if you're improving or not. And weight loss and success in business just isn't done. Well, I feel like we're getting better. I feel like I'm losing weight. You want to measure it. And how do you measure that? Well, you get on a scale. You get a measuring tape and measure the person's waist circumference. So all those things. And when does measuring start in our lives? Well, what happens when you have a baby? You come out, doctor picks you up, slaps you on the butt, and says, "Okay, 8 pounds, 6 ounces." So measuring happens from day one, right? As soon as you pop into the world, you're being measured. Athletes are getting, suppose you think of the Olympics when they're running the 100 meters, and if they didn't time it, you could see who won that race, but would you know who set the world record? No, you just have a bunch of announcers go, "Oh, I think you ran faster than a guy last year. It looked like you ran faster." Well, no, they don't do that, of course. They measure it. And measuring is very important in the weight loss. And again, this is where the weekly injections come in, the accountability, all that ties into what gets measured gets improved. Track body weight, body fat. If you get those scales that you stand on, you can measure. They put a little electric current through the body, and they can kind of give you, or you can use calipers, what's your body fat percentage. So those kind of things, very important. Now, if you're working with somebody who wants to lose like 15, 20 pounds, and they also work out in the gym, you want to measure their body fat, because there's a very real possibility if they're working out in the gym and they're using the weight loss kit and they start adding muscle, muscle weighs more than fat. So they might actually gain a little bit of weight, and they're going to be like, "Hey, this isn't working." But that's where you need to measure the body fat, so they know, so they can see improvements there. So, and again, celebrate and advertise. Every success story is an advertisement for you and your weight loss and your weight loss program. So every success story is an advertisement for you. There's nothing more powerful than word of mouth advertising. To give you an example, I live in a neighborhood where we have neighborhood Facebook groups, and we get all these magazines and coupons in the mail, advertisements from this person, that person. Hey, we'll cut your lawn. Hey, we'll paint your house. We'll do your roof. We'll clean your house. All that stuff. But you know how we find out who to use when we need to find one of those people? We post out in our Facebook group, "Hey, you guys have a recommendation on somebody for lawn work?" And that's what we take those to heart, word of mouth from other customers instead of the advertisement. So keep that in mind. And The weight loss kit, our regular price on the weight management kits is $115 for a 30-day kit. However, as I promised you guys, and you probably saw in the invitation, we are offering a special price to everybody who attends the weight loss, this webinar tonight. And that price is $85 per kit. So we're going from $115 to $85, so you guys can get this in an affordable price for your patients, to get them on this, to try it out. So how do you get this price? Reach out to your Olympia rep and say, hey, I was at the webinar, I want to get the $85 price, and they will set that price for you in your portal. If you don't know who your rep is, that's okay. You can email marketing@olympiapharmacy.com and say, hey, I would like to get the special rate on the weight loss kits, and our marketing team will connect you with your rep, and then we will set the pricing for you in your weight loss kit. So that is the end of the webinar.